if he screws up. Neil's not stupid, and he knows this. Do Peter and the FBI realize that if they send Neil back to prison, they're sending him to be killed? He's an FBI snitch, and they don't last long.
Can I ask you to, because I can record this for the forum.
Oh, okay.
Do you want me to do that for you?
That would be wonderful, because I can't write.
All right.
Would you like me to pose that one more time, or?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
And this is Donna.
Okay, wait, hang on, here we go. All right, it's recording now. Action.
Peter still reminds Neil he can be sent back to prison if he screws up. Neil's not stupid, and he knows this. Do Peter and the FBI realize that if they send Neil back to prison, they're sending him there to be killed? He's an FBI snitch, and they don't last long.
Oh, I guess I'll answer since everyone's looking at me. No, I think Peter, if he were to be in that situation anytime soon, in terms of having to put Neil back in prison, I do think he would be very cautious about where he places Neil, and would certainly, keep him safe and protected, but obviously make him answer for any crime he may commit.
And the FBI has done a lot of legwork to basically cover Neil's story. And so most of the world doesn't know that Neil's doing this. So he should be relatively secure unless some mean guy spreads the word.
All right, this is B. Bayes. Has anyone noticed that in recent episodes, Neil only seems to wear his fedora when he's in con man mode? Is that an intentional choice by the writers, directors, actors, or is it just too hot in New York in the summer for hats?
I don't know if that's necessarily a deliberate choice, but I can say in the episode that I wrote where he breaks into Peter's house, that was actually something that Matt came up with on the spot, which is he leaves FBI, before he gets on the elevator, he decides he has to do this. So it is a very con man moment when he picks up his hat and does that flip that he does and puts it on his head. And I think for him, that was sort of a trademark thing because that's something that separates him. It's a smooth move, it's cool, and I think that sort of plays to the side of Neil that sort of goes against Peter in a lot of ways. That's sort of the cool thing that get, it's sort of the con man thing of I'm doing a trick to impress you, I'm smooth, I'm cool, and I think that, from Peter's point of view, no one at the FBI, Dana Jones, can't do that. So I think that sort of separates him. But in terms of him actually wearing it on his head when he's in con man mode, I think that's just like an outdoor thing he has.
Matt's also very cognizant of the hat. Like, he treats it like a character in the same way he treats the anklet, and so a lot of times he'll argue for it or against it because of whatever the moment may be.
All right. No. Kathy asks, does each season equal a year in the white-collar world, i.e., is season 3 Neil's third year with the anklet? It does not. One thing you'll notice is the end of season 2 and the beginning of season 3 are literally days apart. So we have a compression of time. In our mind, it's been about, at the end of this full season, it will have been just over 2 years of real time for Neil and Peter.
Yeah, give or take.
Yeah. Unless we have to change it.
All right. Karen asks, Peter spent 2.5 years telling Neil that people can change, that he can change. But every time something illegal goes down, Peter not only immediately assumes Neil has something to do with it, he lets Neil know that. So on the one hand, Peter is telling Neil he can change, and on the other hand, he's, quote, telling Neil that he doesn't believe Neil can change. Is Neil ever going to confront Peter about this particular double standard? I like that question.
I think we played with it a little bit in 301, where Neil is actually being, to a certain extent, rightfully accused. But I think that's sort of the fun of it is Peter desperately wants Neil to do the right thing and desperately wants to believe it, but time and time again he sees evidence otherwise. But yeah, it's a very interesting question. It's sort of the heart of the show, which is Peter just really wants Neil to not be Neil, but that's what makes Neil so interesting.
Yeah, and that's something we've actually talked about a fair bit this season, just, does Peter really want Neil to change? I mean, he wants Neil to be a good person, but if Neil changed, would he be different than the Neil that Peter obviously really likes and is friends with and keeps him on his toes and makes him look at the world in a different way? So, I mean, it's a really interesting debate, and one that might be great, to articulate between Peter and Neil, whether it's in steps or, all together, but I think it's something really interesting on Peter's character to really think about whether he wants it for real.
And actually, it really ties into Tuesday's episode. There is a lot of that. So.
And perhaps in the back half, we'll talk about it very explicitly. Perhaps. I'm going to skip this next one because we already talked about the wardrobe. And I'm going to skip this. Okay, one more down. All right. A bit of debate is going on. Exactly what law has Neil broken in regards to the Nazi treasure? Adler salvaged it, so it would be his. Mozzie essentially stole the treasure from a dead man and blew up the warehouse. That was a crime for Mozzie. Neil knows where the treasure is and who stole it, but that's it. So does anybody want to talk about what crime he's being accused of?
That'll be answered in 311. Pretty much. Yeah, also, I mean, if you wanted to get technical about it, it is possession of stolen property, possibly war profiteering if he were to ever sell any of it. So, yeah, but this issue will be addressed.
Good.
Way to pass the buck. I like that. That
Well, I'll keep some surprises.
Okay, so we're running long, but before we close up, I wanted to give each of our speakers a chance to talk about what's next for them, or maybe something outside the show that they do, and the URL. So, down the road, Jim?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm currently pitching a pilot to various networks that I hope something comes of it. That's what I plan to work on over the hiatus, and I'm pretty excited about it. So we'll see. And Joe.
I actually, I guess I can talk about this.
You can.
I sold a pilot a couple weeks ago, so I hope I don't get in trouble for saying no. I think I can. I sold it to USA, so yeah, we have some very nice executives who are very smart, and it's a great place to be able to stay. Also, Jim, to your earlier question, yes. 1,000 times yes.
With hiatus coming up, I have projects that I will be working on, but nothing that necessarily has legs or will for a while. White collar is purely my focus, and hopefully will be for years to come.
Yeah, over hiatus, I'm going to be writing at least one pilot, and we'll see, what happens with that afterward, and hopefully going to Italy.
Yeah, I hope to actually have a couple pilot ideas. I'm going to spend the hiatus sort of working on those, and sleep is also on the agenda, and maybe some traveling.
Okay, well, I want to say thank you to our panel, to Matt McGrath, Alexandra McNally, then Shadow.